Okay, so Eastern Orthodox, sometimes they will bring up the fact that St. Peter, founded the Church of Antioch, but then later went on to found the Church of Rome as like a kind of contention against papal supremacy. Mm-hmm. How would you argue against that?
Well, Peter was in on the founding of a church even before Antioch, and that was Jerusalem. But Peter's authority is not tied to a place, it's tied to a person, namely Peter himself. And so where Peter goes at any given stage is not determinant for what happens to his authority after his time. What is determinant for that is where does he leave his successor. For example, suppose Peter had, started in Jerusalem and then gone to Antioch and then gone to Rome, and then just before he dies, he goes back to Jerusalem and appoints a successor there in Jerusalem. Well, then Jerusalem would be the seat of the papacy. But he didn't do that. He progressed through his career. He ended up in Rome. That's where he was martyred, and that is where he left his successor. So what he did before leaving successors, and in fact, these are only, 3 of the churches that Peter was involved in founding. But, presumably like St. Paul, he was involved in founding multiple others that we simply, simply have not been recorded for us. So what church did Peter found is not really the issue. Where Peter left his successor is the issue. Also, frankly, Peter really didn't found either Antioch or Rome, not in the proper sense. I mean, we may use that language sometimes because he was there at the foundation of them in the first generation. But we know he visited Antioch, but because Paul mentions that, but he visited it at a time where it had already existed. We're told, in fact, that at the time the church in Antioch started, Peter was in Jerusalem, and the message spread to Antioch, and it was in Antioch that the gospel was first preached to some Greeks outside of the Jewish Christian community. And you already had this community there, and we don't have a record of Peter going to Antioch until after the Acts 15 council, which was called because of a controversy in the Church of Antioch. Similarly, if you look in Acts chapter 2, the crowd that is present on the day of Pentecost includes Jews and proselytes from Rome. And the implication that Luke would have us draw from this is that's how the Christian message first got to Rome. You had these Jews and proselytes who were from Rome in Jerusalem on the day of Pentecost. They heard the gospel, they became Christians, and then they went back to Rome. And so the Christian community in Rome was founded in that way. It didn't suddenly get founded when Peter arrived. So what churches Peter did or didn't found is not the issue. Where Peter left his successor is the issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, Ethan, I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
You too, sir. God bless.
All right.